Hi, you're watching a very special edition of Agenda AWANI because we're going to talk about getting better, getting well, getting taken care of, and at the same time feeling good. And I always feel good talking about this topic. And as an editor in the newsroom, every day I'll be swarmed with countless emails, but many of them are a reading of the world around us, locally, regionally, and globally. And I've just gotten an email, actually, just a few days ago from Market Research Future. And they were quoting Oxford Economics and Visa, around 11 to 14 million people travel abroad from America for healthcare services. But the global medical tourism market, the detail below that paragraph, is expected to grow at compound annual growth rate of 21.4% from 2017 to 2023. Now, Malaysia is a key player in all this, and I'm very glad to have two great leaders of the field with me today on Agenda AWANI. Closest to me, ladies first always, Shireen Nazli. I've been getting her to share the secrets of everything with me, but today she's the CEO of MHTC, and Dr. Jacob Thomas for the first time with me on Agenda AWANI. He is the Mr. President, you know, the private hospitals in Malaysia, they've got an association, so Dr. Jacob looks like that. But I'm going to go to Shireen first. You've been here before, but I'm looking at that figure, looking at this optimism of the world economy moving forward, and a lot of that has to do with mobility. And again, healthcare, travel is a big component that people are looking at now.
Thank you very much, Cam, for this opportunity today, and we are indeed very happy to be here with AWANI. Thank you for having both of us here.
It's a pleasure.
As you can see, Malaysia Healthcare Travel Council is a government agency that looks after the medical tourism industry in Malaysia, and we work very closely with the private hospitals. And here we have the Association of Private Hospital President with us here, because we feel that having the strong public-private partnership is the core to the success of Malaysia. Correct. Being recognized now as one of the key players in
right
medical
up there,
travel.
Right? We're among the top. Yeah.
Alhamdulillah, we recently won as the Malaysia won as the destination for medical travel, or the preferred medical travel destination of the year 2017 by the International Medical Travel Journal based in London. But that's not the first time that we won it. So we've won it like about 3 years in a row.
So we've been consistent.
Yes, we've been consistent, and we have been recognized accordingly. And when you talked about just now having the 21% annual growth globally for the industry, Malaysia actually outperformed last year. So last year we grew at 23%. And honestly, moving forward, we aspire to outpace that global growth again. And we would like to see the growth to be, about 25 to 30% year-on-year growth moving forward till beyond 2020. So how to do that? For us, we feel that as an agency under the Ministry of Health Malaysia, we have that strong belief in growing the industry together with the private sector. And with the strong public-private partnership, we have seen that the trust by the international patients on Malaysia is actually very strong. Yeah, because they feel that, when we have the private hospitals working together with the Ministry of Health, that gives that trust to the patients in terms of choosing Malaysia as the destination of choice for medical travel. So that's where we're coming from, and we're happy to share that we hope to be the global destination of medical travel destination by 2020.
Dato', I would like to go to you, and it's easier said than done, this public-private partnership. But at least in this field, we can see that it's really getting the rewards and the outcome that have been targeted. And if we outperform the global average, something we're doing must be really right. Because when I Google medical travel alone, many other countries will also crop up, like Mexico and Turkey. But to you, and in your mind, what is our unique selling proposition to the global travelers who want to get well, at the same time want to enjoy their stay also?
See, there are many factors. You rightly said the public-private partnership is real today for us, and we are very fortunate to have the big support from the government, which has boosted our efforts. Now, why do people choose us? Actually, if you look back, we had good medical services right from a long time ago.
Okay.
Unfortunately, this was not known outside of Malaysia.
Like
We were
undiscovered gem.
hidden secret.
Yes.
And it is only recently, with the support from the government, that we started to go out and shout out saying, we are a good destination. So that has picked up and people have listened to us. And initially it was slow, but now, as Shireen rightly said, we are started getting awards. Now, why do they come to us? What do they find unique in us? I would put three main factors.
Okay.
First of all is the quality of care. When I say that, it is the doctors, the hospital, the equipment that we have, the support services that we have are world class. And people are amazed that a country like Malaysia, a small country like Malaysia in Asia, has got all this. Secondly, I would say is accessibility. Many countries, you want treatment, you have to wait. There's a long waiting list for doing procedures, especially you talk about cataract or hip replacement or joint replacements. And but that is not so here. And we are able, because of the numbers of private hospitals that we have, able to cope with the demand.
Okay.
And the last point, which some people put as number one, is the affordability, the cost of care. In spite of the quality, in spite of the rapid accessibility that you have, we find that the cost is one of the most reasonable, not just in the region, but when you look at it globally. And these are the reasons why we find a big rush towards Malaysia.
Malaysia is the destination of the year for healthcare travel. I have to go for the first break, but once we are back, I know it's a given to you, Dr. Jacob, but some people in Malaysia might not still be really aware that the best of the best that we have in our hospitals are right up there with the best of the world, the best in the world. I mean, IJN and Mayo, you know, not that far if you look at it and everything else. So I want you to make a little bit more illustration on that point, because you every day are in the hospital. And from Shireen, a lot of other industries are looking at slow and at most marginal growth. But healthcare seems to be going really, really strong, beating the global average. And so looking forward, surely some KPIs have changed and have been increased, and you know, you have more resources to move forward with. We'll discuss that right after the short break. You are still watching a very special session of AWANI, because we're talking about us, we're talking about the world. One thing we share in common, we all want to get better if we're sick, and even people from far away will just come here because they believe in our healthcare. So I put that question to Dato', but while he's forming, you know, a very superb way of answering that, I'm going to go to Shireen, and I must say this. This year has not been an easy year for the global market for anything. But when I look at healthcare, look at what I Googled, look at what you have said, it's going strong. If it's a sailboat, the wind is blowing really, really hard and on the right path.
I agree with you in that manner, because I think looking at the global trend, healthcare is something that is needed. It's not actually a choice that, you know, you want to get healthcare or not. And another thing that's growing in the global trend is talking about wellness and preventive care. So that's another area that we also want to grow in Malaysia, talking about you don't want to just get medical tourists to come when they are sick. We also want them to come over to Malaysia and live the wellness life, go for preventive treatment, screening, diagnostic, etc. So when we look at that, there's a huge potential in that industry. And as I mentioned before, we grew 23% last year. And if you looked at other industry, and especially in the export services, that it's actually quite hard to get other industry growing beyond, you know, 20%.
It's a global thing,
It's a global thing. So this is where I think with that opportunity, we want to capitalize on the recognition that has been given to Malaysia, not only as the medical travel destination of the year, but we have been recognized as the country with the best healthcare system in the world by the International Living United States. So, and that's again also 3 years in a row. So it has been 3 years in a row that we have been recognized as the country with the best healthcare in the world for its quality, accessibility and affordability. And with that, we want to actually grow Malaysia Healthcare's brand name in the global world and promote Malaysia as a destination, because not only it brings the growth of that 20% for Malaysia, but every ringgit spent in a hospital in Malaysia actually brings the multiplier effect of around 3 to the economy. So which means 1 ringgit spent, you get another 3 ringgit spent in the economy for shopping, accommodation,
We're talking
food.
about billions here, right?
Yes, you're
just
talking
to get the picture right.
Yeah. So if last year we had about 1.12 billion ringgit to the hospital revenue, we are expecting about 4 to 5 billion ringgit in terms of the total economic impact. That's a lot. And actually moving forward to 2020, we are aiming about 15 billion total economic impact. And these numbers are actually excluding the wellness that I spoke about just now, excluding dental tourism, and it's also excluding the, what do you call it, the clinics, the GP that actually handles the medical tourists as well. I only spoke about the hospitals. So can you imagine actually how big medical tourism is for the country, and in terms of potential, if we would invest more in terms of branding, marketing and promotion. So this is where it's very important that even though Malaysia Healthcare Travel Council is facilitating the industry, we're helping to grow the industry when it comes to, let's say for example, the end-to-end services, the visa facilitation, the G2G, G2B, but we are working very closely with the private sector because it's them that's actually delivering the care. We help in terms of providing the end-to-end, you know, like say for example, Malaysia Healthcare Travel Council, we have our concierge and lounge at KLIA. We welcome patients at the Aero Bridge. We bring them through the fast-track immigration and we enable the hospital to pick them up from our lounge. But that's with the collaboration with our agencies, you know, like immigration, we work with MIDA, Matrix, etc.
So it's an end-to-end thing.
Yeah, end-to-end, but very important is the private hospitals. They are the one who needs to step up and drive the industry alongside us.
I've never had the pleasure of being a medical traveler in need, but I think Dubai offers things like that, and it's just for conferences, and imagine Malaysia having that. But Doctor, medical sometimes is very, very technical and technologically adapt kind of industry in that sense. You have to have the best technology with the best expertise and skill sets, and more talents, you know, hard to come by. But Malaysia seems to be doing well in this front. You know, we keep looking at, I keep receiving from time to time press releases about the first in the world procedures and stuff like that. So where would you put our expertise in the medical world globally to benchmark?
See, again, coming to a point, why do people come to us, and why do they recognize us as being a leader for medical tourism or for healthcare? If you go back a few years, we started getting patients, but not in the numbers like what we talk about today. And those patients came to us because of word of mouth. Some patients who came to us went back to their home countries and said, oh, I went to this country, to this hospital, and we had excellent care. And so that started growing and the numbers started increasing. But it's only after MHTC and the Ministry of Health stepped in to say this is a good thing we need to promote and started shouting out that the numbers have suddenly shot up. And what is it that these patients and the testimony that they have, that they came to this country? I've talked about affordability, I've talked about accessibility. But what is key is they say we had the best care possible, our outcomes were good, and the doctors were experts in their field, we were directed to the right doctors, we had the right equipment, and they were able to diagnose and come to give us the right treatment, and we are able to go back. And this is the story which is going around. It is not just that you've got good hospitals, you have enough doctors, but it is the outcomes which is making a difference, and that is what people are coming for today. And that is something which is very difficult for any country to emulate overnight.
Yes.
And that is the strength we have in Malaysia.
As always, we achieve a good benchmark, but we want to go higher. So after this last break, I would like to ask Doctor, what more do you want for the ecosystem to be better, for people to come in a larger number? But not only that, if we increase healthcare and the ability of for us to provide good outcomes, of course, the effect will also be for our own communities, that we can grow healthcare better. And for Shireen, you know, the billions that you mentioned is good, but now everything's being disrupted, and to be sustainable moving forward, our footprint digitally, for example, must be really in existence, even for healthcare. But that's a whole ecosystem to look at. So what are you doing about it? We'll talk about all that after this short break. Do you know how much it costs to have a heart bypass in America? The data given to me is 123,000, I think, in US dollars, right? In Malaysia, it's just 12,100. So I'm going to Doctor first. So moving forward, we want to be the #1 destination for this. Do we move the whole basket of what we offer, or do we focus on certain niche areas? How do you look at it in terms of capacity and also the challenges moving forward?
I think we have moved forward in a very steady pace, a pace which is sustainable. And as we went on, we started building centers of excellence in cancer or oncology, also in neurosurgery, in orthopedics. And this has helped our country to be well known for these areas. And when you develop these centers of excellence, we are able to attract the best doctors from around the world.
Correct.
Not just Malaysians coming back to work here, but also others who want to come in and work with us to transfer the technology.
You have seen that increasing. I'm so sorry, this is news to me, that top surgeons or doctors around the world are actually looking at Malaysia now.
Oh yes, even in the hospital, I've got first-hand experience. The hospitals we work in, I've seen doctors coming back from neighboring countries, from Australia, from the UK, and because they find they can practice medicine the way they are used to, because of the sophistication of healthcare has gone up here, and they can find satisfaction by working here. At the same time, earn a reasonable amount of returns. And this is something which has attracted us and also motivated hospitals to bring in such experts, provide them with the services, the equipment, the support services, which will enable them to practice like what they were doing elsewhere. And this further attracts people from the region. They don't have to travel to faraway countries. And being here and with the government or the Ministry of Health looking at us to make sure we are well regulated and have quality care, this makes it a very attractive option for those traveling to us.
And I must say, I've heard this in the oil and gas and other field, but that means that it's not just the specific industry, but the whole environment in Malaysia is palatable for expats to really stay and make a living. And now that we've touched that issue, before you go to the digital part, you know, that spillover impact to the services for Malaysians. I mean, this can only get better and better if we do it well and sustainably.
Yes. I think when you look into the total impact, it's not just about the healthcare system, it's about the end-to-end value chain that's going to benefit from it. So even SMEs, you know, we create jobs also for the industry, and also the SMEs have grown with us along the way when it comes to medical tourism industry. For the for the country and for the government and as well as the Ministry of Health, this industry is actually very important because when we look at how Malaysia healthcare has grown, we had two systems. We have the public healthcare system and we have the private. And both of them have grown to such level now that, we can complement each other in many things and services. But if you look into the total industry as a whole, when we will be recognized as the country with the best healthcare system in the world, that means that, we are sustainable, we can manage the cost down, we are very effective, and most importantly is the quality that we deliver. So in order for us to keep that sustainable in the long term, we also have to look into the big picture. And medical tourism is seen to be able to help develop that. For example, Malaysia is only a small country. We have 30 million people, right? But with just Malaysians, our private healthcare system may not be able to grow as big as by itself and grow into the maximum potential. So they will need more patients to come in from outside and to also grow their business as well as build the case mix for our doctors. And when you do that, you actually have the economies of scales. We can have more revenue for private sector to reinvest into the healthcare system, and Malaysians will benefit from that. And also it will unburden the public healthcare system. So then we can benefit from the best of both worlds moving forward.
To sum it all up, the digital challenge also by bringing in Insight 2017 into play. Okay,
when you're talking about digital, I think in this world now, for healthcare, it's very important that we maximize or optimize the usage of digital platform. So for us, Malaysia Healthcare Travel Council is actually our digital marketing or digital platform is actually one of our key tenets. We have facilitation, we have digital marketing, and we have sustainability as a key tenets. So when digital marketing is very important, we have deployed it in our key markets, namely Indonesia, China, Indochina, and also India. And we are also deploying the same for the Middle East. And Insights 2017 is actually a market intelligence conference that is actually being organized by Malaysia Healthcare Travel Council next week, actually, 26, 27 September in Connections Bangsa South. It's actually to look into getting all the stakeholders of the industry, the players in industry, and focusing them into the key markets and what are the market intelligence data that they can use to actually build their business. And that also look into big data, that also looks into how to use digital platform, especially in China when they have their own system altogether. And that's the collaboration that we're building, and hopefully with that we can be more effective in our marketing and branding moving forward.
So Dato', we're no longer a hidden jewel, right? So
is
Shireen pestering you to have your own Dr. Oz like social media presence?
Well, we are already there, and shows like this where we can talk and shout out more, and also not just for foreign patients, but also for Malaysians to realize that all forms of treatment is available locally. You don't have to travel abroad for this.
I guess that sums it up very well. Thank you so much, Shireen. It's always a pleasure to be with Malaysia Healthcare Travel Council. Thank you so much, Datuk Dr. Jacob from the Association of Private Hospital Malaysia. Thanks to you for watching. Send in your own views to all the social media platforms that we have, or download our iOS and Android app, and you can critique and watch your favorite AWANI shows right there on your favorite mobile gadget. That's it from me. Good night and goodbye.